Welcome back, everybody. The next topic today is about the NYPD undercover police officers fighting anti-Asian attacks that have been happening in New York City. The New York Police Department will increase its outreach and patrol in Asian communities using undercover officers due to the spike in hate crimes. Shootings last week left. This all came because shootings last week at a massage parlor, at 3 massage parlors, killed 8 people. Most of them that happen to be Asian. Their plan is to use these undercover people in Flushing, Queens, Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and other locations. Chinatown, other locations with a lot of people from the Asian community. And they're going to also use Asian officers to blend in or whatever. They're also going to have specific 911 things where you can call in and be able to mention your the language dialect, because they said there's I think there's close to 200 dialects. They said a huge amount. You'll see in the video which dialects that they have that they're going to talk about. But supposedly there's been 26 anti-Asian incidents, including 12 assaults. A lot of them stemming from the coronavirus. A lot of people are blaming Asians for coronavirus and the ability not to be able to go outside. And it's just crazy. A lot of Americans tend to do things like this for whatever reason, blaming other cultures. And most of these people all have been here this whole time. But as you see in these pictures, you could see that there's undercover police. These are like the police that they're going to be using. I believe, oh man, I forgot. I knew I forgot to do something. I forgot this gentleman's name. But I'll look it up in a second while we have a break. And these are like the little protests that they've been having. Not little, but they've been pretty big protests that they've been having regarding.
Is that Inspector Tommy Niang?
I believe so. I got to double check, but I believe so. I knew there was something I had forgotten. I've been kind of busy, and I apologize. I just wanted to make sure I got all the images and information. Let me cut to the video so you could actually see some of these people speaking, and you could check everything out.
The NYPD fighting back against anti-Asian attacks. After weeks of violent and hate-fueled beatings and slashings across the city, the department has a new strategy to stop this hate. By the weekend, you're going to see more patrols across the city, and officers have a warning for anybody who does commit a hate crime. News 4's Erica Byfield live in Chinatown to tell us how the NYPD plans to stop these attacks. Erica.
Adam, the NYPD is trying to tackle this issue from all angles. They tell us education, enforcement, and outreach. It's that enforcement part that has them now sending out undercover officers. They will not say where they'll be, how many there'll be, only that they'll be out here.
We found Mulberry Street in Chinatown bustling, Asian New Yorkers out, yet honest about their fears. In an attempt to squash the surge of attacks, we've learned that as of this weekend, the NYPD will deploy undercover Asian officers.
Having these undercovers out there will help us possibly identify somebody that's committing these crimes.
Recent attacks include the woman who left a rally, got punched twice in the face and had her sign trashed, and a 54-year-old who needed stitches after someone hit her with a pipe. In 2021, there have been 26 incidents. At this point last year, there were 0.
We will never tolerate hate or violence of any kind in our great city.
The police commissioner is convinced there are even more victims out there.
I don't think there's any question, at least to me.
Hate Crimes Task Force members are going to put up Stop Hate Now signs in impacted communities. The goal is to get people to call 911, regardless of what language they speak.
They only need to know and say one word, the English word that identifies the language that they speak. So if they call 911, what we want them to do is say Cantonese, Mandarin.
The department's chief of patrol tweeted that the NYPD has dispatchers who speak 200 languages.
Hi, I'm Officer Zhang from 5th Precinct.
She also shared a video that the department created to further spread their Here to Help message. The NYPD's top brass clear. They want all of these efforts to lead to arrests and charges that stick.
And you better think twice.
Sorry about that. I started cutting into the next video. I'm gonna have to cut that out. But I don't know why it did autoplay, but shouldn't have been on that way. Anyways, what do you guys think about this? How do you guys feel about this whole situation that's been going on in New York and all over the country, actually, with the whole anti-Asian movement that these people have been doing and assaulting these people?
I mean, it's pretty disgusting. But it's so plays to humanity and how we always want to find someone to blame for our problems and what's going on. We want to find someone to blame. We want to take it out on somebody. It doesn't help that the past administration that we had in office would always say stuff like the China flu and the China virus and all this other stuff, and people, they go after anything. They don't distinguish between Japanese or Korean or anything like that. They'll go after any Asian American, and it's so sad and disgusting. We were talking about it before, it's like a lot of older people as well that they're targeting, which is just so cowardly and stupid and completely ignorant, and hopefully that this does help to deter. I mean, I don't always have a lot of faith, especially in the NYPD, but I hope that this does help to deter some of this violence that they're seeing spiking. I'm glad that they're at least going to be trying to go out there. I don't know if more police force actually helps to deter violence, but hopefully in this case it does, because these people are hurting pretty bad, and you shouldn't have to walk around in fear and terror that someone's just going to lash out at you. It's crazy.
How do you feel, Anthony, about this whole?
I just want to make sure that people are aware that they tell the police that they had a hate crime actually done to them. One of the things is that I'm sure that number is lower than it actually is. I'm sure there are people who have been yelled at, had confrontations, etc. They're not necessarily calling it a hate crime because it's not necessarily assault or etc. It's more of vocal assault or etc. that it's not deemed criminal. So I also agree that I'm not sure. I am actually more worried that the NYPD will use this kind of tactic as a way to introduce more police population in different areas during different incidences of violence. And I don't think it'll be evenly charged, but at the same time, I would like this to work. And I would like this to help the situation, or at least, if not deter the violence, to at least have it so that they can get the proper representation by the judicial system. So that's how I am. That's where I'm at on this. I'm not sure if having more police in an area will definitely bring down violence. I do know that making people aware that it's occurring is actually very relevant.
Yeah.
I think with the whole situation, the fact that they're announcing it, I think is a deterrent. I don't necessarily think that them being there is going to be a deterrent, but I think that if they announce it, it may make people second guess doing something, which I think may be a positive. But I'm all about community policing, like people, amongst themselves, the people that know each other, helping each other. The thing is, a lot of people, they're fearful of one another, and that they won't act on it. They'll see something, and they won't help. They'll videotape it. They'll do everything but actually, get involved and stop the thing that's happening. I'd like to see a lot of these attackers, get their ass beat, to be honest with you, from the community, but. They need to learn some sort of lesson somehow, you know what I mean? And, I don't think, the way things are going, a lot of these people, they're getting away with it, and, they're not learning anything, and they're out there capable of doing it again, which is kind of scary. But, I was thinking a lot of it had to do with white people, but the funny thing is there's other races doing this as well. It's not just a white person, black. The black people doing, Spanish people doing it. I it's it just needs to stop, man. We're all human beings, and these are somebody's family members. A lot of them are elderly or women or people that can't defend themselves as easily, which is a sign of cowardice. These people that are attacking, they wouldn't do that to a grown person, or somebody that looks like they can handle themselves. But maybe this will do something, like you said. Hopefully we'll see some change, and not more policing that goes awry or whatever it is.
And it's sad. It's because New York is such a diverse melting pot when it comes to all the people that are there. You would feel, or you would at least think, that people would feel a little bit more empathetic towards each other living in such an environment. But sometimes it really becomes very, polarizing, and it just ends up dividing a lot of people. And, we really need to realize how much this pandemic and the lockdown and the quarantine has really taken a toll on people's mental health. It really does come back to people looking to blame someone for the problems that they're going through right now, the problems of paying rent and trying to pay mortgages and trying to do all this stuff and trying to survive. And it's easy for them to just turn around and take all that anger and aggression out on people, especially people they don't know, and to just target them. And it really does. It seems like all these issues really start to come back to mental health at the root of everything. It's like people need to understand we're all going through this together. It's not something that any one person or any one group of people is to blame. It's a lot. It's a lot of different things going on that it's contributing to it. And you can't just blame a whole group of people for something bad happening, especially in your personal life.
I have one question for both of y'all. Do you think that now that things are starting to reopen, that this will eventually cut down a little bit? Or do you think it's going to get worse because now people are going to be more in the streets?
That's hard to say.
I would say that this kind of anti-Asian bias was already there, and that it's actually more of an action of, there's probably a lot of people who are closeted extremists in ways, and they have these really negative feelings towards different groups of people. And I feel like this is a time where it allows them to I don't know how to say it, to bring that out, and to bring out violence upon other people just because it is an acceptable space at this point for them. But I don't know. The answer to things opening up is that things aren't going to be normal in any fashion until at least the end of this year. No. So I don't think that it will short term change that problem. Maybe in a year or two we'll have a little bit of a lowering of that kind of stat. But for the foreseeable future, I believe that there's also a lot of people, like we were just talking about in our previous discussion, that are supporters, who are people who are not just Trump supporters, but more are conspiracy theorists. Mm-hmm. And they're going to fall into that trap of oftentimes thinking that this whole group of people were somehow trying to, I don't know. I don't even know what they believe. It doesn't make any sense if you understand the etymology of disease. It came from the transfer from maybe another animal to a human. That naturally happens. It was, that's just, it's not like it was planned.
Well, unfortunately it's going to be happening more and more. The more deforestation that we're doing, the more encroaching onto environments that we've never been before. We're going to be coming in contact with a lot of these animals, and you know, it just seems like it happens all the time. I mean, if you were thinking back to the pandemic, we always likened this one to, in 1916, it was the Spanish flu. Didn't necessarily come from Spain. It's just Spain was the first ones to confirm out loud that, yeah, we've got it over here, and then they labeled it the Spanish flu, and they all pointed their fingers towards Spain. I'm sure there was a huge spike towards people, Spanish people at that time, you know, of hate crimes going towards them, because people were blaming them the same way probably that they're trying to blame Asian people for this COVID-19, you know. And it's sad. It's sad. It just says a lot of how we are as human beings. We're always looking to put the blame, you know, and we just have to recognize it. We have to stop it and just recognize that there's nobody to blame for this except ourselves. Us making sure that that we're expanding and we're overreaching when it comes to areas that we're pushing into, environments that we shouldn't be, and we're coming into contact with all these animals, and it's going to, you know, they've said it multiple times that we're probably going to go into more pandemics, not less pandemics in the future.
What pisses me off is most of these people were here this whole time because there were flight restrictions and all sorts of stuff. These people were here for the last year, and you're attacking people that had absolutely nothing to do with it. You know, they've been here for a year and change because they couldn't fly back and forth. So how are they at fault for what's happening?
Some of these people have lived here their whole lives too, you know?
It's freaking stupid, man. It's unbelievable.